This episode is brought to you by CloudPano. Adding more revenue to your business is simple. Offer more value. With CloudPano.com, you can create 360 virtual tours and present them to your clients quickly and efficiently. It only takes 5 minutes to create a VR tour on CloudPano.com and your clients will be thrilled. Plus, with the active community, you will constantly be supported by fellow digital media entrepreneurs just like you. Join the movement and try CloudPano.com today. Make sure to use the free demo and pre-sell your first virtual tour client. Then grab a Pro Plus membership. Get started for free at cloudpano.com.
This is Shooting Spaces with Rich Baum and Brian Berkowitz.
Welcome to Shooting Spaces. This is Rich Baum from Sacramento, California. And
Brian here from New York. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, for another great episode. What's going on, Rich? Keeping busy?
Yeah, well, it's been great. And as always, just trying to keep busy and looking forward to the conference in Vegas.
A couple weeks away.
Yeah, and I'm really enjoying it. It's good right now. It's summer's over and things are great. So no complaints.
All right, cool. Well, we got a lot to talk about today and I have a great guest, so I think we should just get right into it. I want to introduce Kevin Klakis, I think is how you said I pronounce it, and I apologize if I just butchered your name because you just told me the correct pronunciation. But Kevin is the co-founder of iGUIDE, and I think, Planetar is the parent company, I guess.
Yep.
iGUIDE, which is, I guess, a virtual tour floor plan system, and we'll get into all the nitty gritty of what it does. But Kevin, just say hello, introduce yourself, tell everyone where they can find you online if they want to kind of just check you out while we chat, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rich and Brian, for having me on. I am co-founder of iGUIDE. We officially started the company in 2012 and began running the business full-time in 2014, and we've expanded throughout Canada, the United States, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, South and Central America. If you wanted to check us out, we do have a website, goiguide.com. We've also got a YouTube channel called iGUIDE, and LinkedIn we're starting to put information on there as well. And from what I understand, we've got a very prolific social media presence.
Okay, cool. And before we get into the nitty gritty and the details of everything you guys have to offer, can you give us like the 2-sentence description of what iGUIDE is and what you do? So people have an idea of what you do before we get into, I guess, your history and go from there.
Yeah, well, our goal when Alex and I created the company, we had a goal, and we still call it Mapping North America. Of course, we're worldwide, but at the end of the day, we want to make property information accessible to anyone from any location. So we want to provide people with virtual access to critical property data from remote locations. And that includes, yes, the virtual tour aspect, but it also includes access to floor plan information, dimensional information, being able to take live measurements and a number of different tools. So that's why we started, and that's what our mission continues to be today.
All right, cool. So let's take it back, I guess, a couple of years to 2012, or maybe even earlier than that, when you first had the idea for this, because I guess you guys technically are not a photography company, you're more of a technology company. And so what's the history there? Are you guys, tech people that decided to come up with this idea? Were you in the real estate industry? Were you photographers? How did this whole thing come about?
No, I had the idea just prior to meeting with Alex and looked for a solution to it. But my entire career has been involved with the understanding of spaces. I started out in the design and construction of temporary overlay for major games. So I would often have to travel overseas and be given 12-hour access to a stadium, at which time I'd have to take pictures, take measurements, try and get my hands on floor plans. And should I miss information, that was really catastrophic to certain parts of my job. When I left that world after 10 years, I went into cost engineering, quantity surveying. And again, my job was very heavily involved with floor plans, measurements, areas, reference visuals. And it was at that time that I was looking at the sheer amount of time our engineering staff was spending out on site mapping and documenting properties that I thought there had to be a better way. And I met my co-founder, Alex, who was a physicist in metrology and optics. So he worked in optics and precision measurement. So he was not a photographer either, but most of his world was spent around photography. And he had developed an early version of what iGUIDE is today. And together, we came up with our first version of the iGUIDE camera system and our subsequent camera system and all the software that not only runs the system, but the iGUIDE platform that users and viewers and everybody works with to consume iGUIDE data.
And this was 2012, I guess, around then. And then it took you 2 years, I guess, to go public and actually launch, give or take.
What we did, when we started, we were developing it for some very specific use cases, commercial applications. Really hadn't put our designs on building a business. And we came through a technology accelerator center out of Kitchener here, probably the biggest in Canada, called Communitech. I think one of your other guests came out of there too. And they really told us, hey, you gentlemen are missing the mark. There's a real estate industry out there that's using virtual tours, measurements, photos, all this data. You should really explore that. It's a much larger market, and it's something that you could build a business around. So at that time, we spent the better part of 8 months researching the real estate industry, finding out what a virtual tour was. And then in 2013, we launched a pilot to see if there was a market for us in residential real estate. And we had a goal in our first year to do 80 residential properties. And we finished our first 12 months doing nearly 900. So we definitely got the proof of concept and then committed to moving into the business full time and building it out. And we all but abandoned our commercial aspirations and learned very quickly the real estate photography world.
Okay, so that's your target market at this point, is strictly real estate. I guess mostly residential, but I guess you would do commercial nonetheless. But the real estate market and real estate photographers are your typical clients.
Absolutely. That is a mainstay of what we're doing day in, day out, is working with real estate photographers, working with realtors and brokerages, as well as the real estate association. So we are fully immersed in residential real estate.
All right, cool. So why don't you, I guess this is the type of thing that real estate photographers, I guess, would add to their arsenal. You know, as you said, Rich, a little bit earlier, people looking to expand, and you almost have to expand nowadays because everybody else is expanding and everyone's offering video and virtual tours and all that. I'm gathering there's not many people that are solely iGUIDE providers. Most of the time, they're usually photographers who buy it as an add-on and something else they can offer their clients. That being said, what are the mainstay features that the iGUIDE offers that now photographers can now offer? I know you mentioned floor plans, and I know you mentioned the virtual tour, but what does a photographer have to look for in order to say, I need that, I can book that on all my shoots, I got to get that now, ultimately?
Yeah. Our biggest success from the beginning and even to this day is when you break down a photographer's workflow and what they do when they go into a home and shoot a property and how money's made and where money and time is being spent and where photographers are really gravitating towards us and even photographers who are certainly into video, who are into aerial, who are into some of the other virtual tour technologies. Why they're gravitating towards iGUIDE is what we can do to improve the value of their time in the home. I think, at least from my perspective, and a lot of this is my perspective, but one of the major cost centers that's often marginalized among real estate photographers is the time spent traveling to and from properties. Like, I'll talk to photographers that'll travel 50 minutes for a shoot, and they've got that same value of transaction every time they go and do that shoot. Well, with iGUIDE, you can significantly increase the value of your transaction with a very small investment of additional time. So you essentially can make a lot more money per day shooting an iGUIDE than you can with just doing photography, with doing video, with doing any of these other virtual tour technologies, anything else. We are a very powerful add-on to a lot of existing photographers.
Let me ask, before we go on, I just want to say, please, for people, I know there's people out there that you have mentioned you're providing, one of the things you're providing is virtual tours. Well, to me, what's always been a virtual tour has been a slideshow, and it just is a slideshow. So what I'd like you to do, for the people that are really, really not familiar with this technology, I'd like you to just tell them, what is this? What does it do? What is the virtual tour? What does it look like? And maybe people have seen other versions of it or whatever, but just in a elevator pitch, what could you say what is the virtual tour?
Well, the true sense of a virtual tour requires two-way communication, input and output. So your sense of a slideshow where you click play and you can sit back in your chair and literally consume the information that's being presented to you. Well, that's not really virtual. But with me as being the person in the computer with the mouse, if I can provide input, meaning redirect the visuals and I can move to different locations, that's where it becomes virtual.
Gotcha.
So in order for something to be a virtual tour, it requires two-way communication, input and output on both sides. And that's really the difference between even a virtual tour and video. We are not static. It's a dance between the person on this side of the computer and the computer itself, where that is truly, if you want to understand what is a virtual tour, well, you have to be able to be providing input in order to receive output.
But what you're providing, and if I could just explain it in my layman's terms, is you're able to go in and go through. A lot of people are familiar with these, but don't know what to call them. You can go through the house from one room to another and see 360 degrees around, immerse yourself into this house. So before someone takes their time to drive all the way out there to see a house, a potential client, you can see it online and go, hey, this looks like something I would like to see. It's like the next step from seeing still images or seeing a video. This is allowing you at your own pace to go through a house. And is that kind of correct?
It really helps potential buyers pre-qualify homes. So instead of gone really are those days of where you spend Saturday and Sunday in a car with the realtor traveling around, going through 8 homes each day. Now, with people's time being so precious, I can sit at my own pace on the couch or in front of my computer and pre-qualify a lot of those homes that don't suit. And for one reason or another, that home does not meet my criteria. So I can focus on spend one day and maybe look at 4 homes that I've been able to whittle down and pre-qualify.
Mm-hmm. Cool stuff. I'm sorry, Rich?
No, go, brother.
So virtual tours we just briefly spoke about, but I think I know I was reading on your website. Your focus is on measurement reliability, which means that the floor plans obviously play a big factor into what you are trying to sell to your photographers, and in turn, the photographers sell to the agents. So talk to us a little bit about the floor plans, exactly how reliable they are, because I know people get skeptical when they have a machine, in one spot in a room measuring, a whole room. So tell us a little bit about how the whole floor plan thing works. And, a thought just come to my head before we even go into that. I want to just clarify for everybody that the iGUIDE, what you're actually buying is a physical camera too. So
Yes.
besides your platform, you have a specific model number, right? What's the model of your camera?
IMS5.
IMS5. So when someone is I guess subscribing to be an iGUIDE provider, they're not only subscribing to your platform, but they're also buying your physical camera from you.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. That is it.
It's just a camera that sits on a tripod and does its thing. Okay, so now that I just cleared that up for people that might be curious as to what the iGUIDE actually physically is, tell us a little bit about the whole floor plan feature and what that does.
Look, can I just jump in a second? I just wanted people out there to know, if you're watching this or you're listening to this and you have the opportunity, I urge you to go to the website. It's iGUIDE, GUIDE.com. And that way you have it's laid out really, I'm there right now, and it's really laid out well. And you can go, and if you could tell our audience, if you go onto the website, what's the best thing to go into to try and grasp what this is, and then how to go from there? What would be the first thing somebody would look for on your website?
I would think everybody should go to the iGUIDE section to really understand what the iGUIDE is. And then from there, if you are a photographer, to move on to the photography page section that we get into the technical details and the way that the system works. But from my perspective, it really is about the output and the value, more so than the hardware. And the hardware ultimately needs to be there to facilitate what we're ultimately creating, which is this iGUIDE suite of tools. But it is about the tools. And to jump into Brian's comment or question about our focus, the foundation of the iGUIDE system and the foundation of our toolkit is absolutely our measurements and our floor plans. And from day one, our emphasis was when an agent buys an iGUIDE, they are getting, of course, photos, but they're getting floor plans, confident room measurements, square footage calculations, and we're giving them a virtual tour for free. I'm not here to get into a debate about the value of virtual tours. I think there's a lot of value in them. But I see far more value in this dimensional data and the floor plans as being more critical. They've been around since the beginning of time, and they'll be there long after virtual tours are gone. Everybody needs a floor plan. So that is truly what defines us in terms of our measurement certainty, our ability to calculate a number of different areas according to systems and standards that would be legally defensible, and our floor plans.
And what percentage is there the analytics out there for what percentage of realtors now or of MLS listings actually use floor plans?
I wish there was a statistic. The one thing that we find incredibly promising and exciting for us is there's a number of trends happening in the industry. The first trend is 2 years ago, NAR's Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers report, when they, in Section 3, buyers in the home buying process, what tools do they find most valuable when they're searching for a home? Photos is number one. It's been number one since, I think, 97 when the study started. But the virtual tours are there. Property details is number two, which is measurements and areas and lot lines. And number three, the dark horse that came out of nowhere, is floor plans. Number four is virtual tours, and number five is neighborhood information. So we've seen among buyers, and you can look at, we're in the information age, they're able to consume more information and do more research when they're searching for a home. And these are details that they want to see. They want to see floor plans. They want to know measurements. They want to know areas. And whether that is a result of or a cause of, we're seeing a lot of changes even within the real estate industry at national, provincial, state, and local levels, where the associations are now requiring their agents to provide that information. So a lot of MLSs are now saying, hey, when Mr. or Mrs. Agent, when you create a listing, you are required to enter room measurements and square footage calculations before we will activate your listing. And what we're seeing, we've seen it in North Carolina, we've seen it in the province of Alberta, and we've seen it as recently as 2 weeks ago, province of Ontario, the largest municipal assessment corporation in North America, has banned the use of property tax data. So a lot of agents have traditionally gone to previous listings, property tax data, or builder data in order to satisfy that requirement. And the industry is banning it because it's just not reliable data. And because we are probably the most reliable, we are great benefactors of that and of this change.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually, and you kind of just answered it. My question was, how reliable is the data you're getting as far as, room measurements and floor plans? Have you ever had issues where people say this is off or this is not accurate, or do you have a percentage of accuracy? Or,
well, put it this way: we are told if it's not at least twice a day from the thousands of people using it that our numbers are wrong, it'd be a slow day because we are often compared to property tax data. And when people, even new operators will call up and say, hey, your number's not the same as ours. And the response would be, well, we'd be surprised if we were because property tax data is so unreliable. But what we can say, and the one thing the industry is becoming aware of, is when you talk about property measurement, it's not necessarily accuracy, it's confidence in the measurement you're providing. Mm-hmm. Because when you go into a home and you send 20 engineers out to create floor plans and measure a home, they will come back with 20 different measurements. Walls are not always perfectly straight, perfectly aligned, but it's how certain and how confident are you in the numbers you're providing? And we're 99.6% confident in our measurement information.
That's pretty high, pretty accurate.
We're pretty confident.
I hear.
To the point of being arrogant.
Oh, okay. There you go. Arrogance never hurt anyone, I guess.
No.
So let me ask you this. I just bought an iGUIDE. And a realtor calls me. They have a 2,500 square foot house they want me to take care of. What's the process? How long can I expect to be on site? How does the whole capturing, I guess, is that the word you use, capturing a location? How long does that take?
Well, your photography aside.
Yes, I mean just specifically iGUIDE itself.
iGUIDE, you should easily after, we are built for speed and efficiency. So allow yourself for your first 10 shoots to maybe take time and a half or twice as long. But once you've got 5-10 shoots under your belt, you should be in and out with iGUIDE data in under 20 minutes.
For a 2,500 square foot house.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got teams, Brandon Cooper, I believe, is doing 2,500 square foot houses. His team's doing it in 12, 13 minutes.
Wow. Interesting. And so the camera works off a phone or an app on, I guess, an app with an iPad or something like that. Is that how?
Any Android, Apple, any phone controls the camera system. The camera's got full Bluetooth capabilities. It's got its own onboard computer and laser measurement system. So the cell phone or tablet, if you choose, really controls the camera when it's in the field.
Okay, interesting.
Pretty cool. I'm on your website looking at the device, and it's what is it? IMS5.
Yep.
And, very interesting. I'd love to see it work. So, do you have any a video on your website that can show me it in action?
Absolutely, and we're updating our speed tests. We recently, I want to say 3 months ago. Our research science team made a very significant discovery that was able to reduce our capture time by 40%. So
Wow.
we still say, 20 minutes to do 3,000 square feet. This is where we've got teams that are reducing that significantly. But 20 is a number we're comfortable telling everybody you should be able to do. But yeah, we've got speed tests just to prove, hey, here, legitimately, this is how long it's taking people in the field to capture a property.
But does the quality, well, not the quality, I guess the speed of the processor people are using in their iPad, for instance, iPad 2 versus iPad 5, does that affect the speed whatsoever, or it shouldn't?
No. What affects, what's really beneficial about our system is the range that a photographer can go before they need to set up another position. So you might be working with another 3D camera system where you go into a bedroom and you might need to capture it from 2, 3, potentially 4 different positions in order to build an appropriate tour. With ours,
correct. And I told you this off the air, but I do have other 3D camera systems, and that is the case. And I've said this publicly that I do own a Matterport, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. But yes, you're 100% right. There are times where I can't go more than 5 or 6 feet away for it to recognize. And the reason I asked that question was because one thing I did personally find for myself was, I was running it off an iPad 2 for a while, and it was taking me a while. And then recently I got the iPad 5, and it literally, it decreased my time on site by over 100%. It was unbelievable. No, it was unbelievable.
That's pretty good.
I went from 3 to 4 hours to scan a 5,000 or 6,000 square foot house, home to under an hour. So that's why I was asking: does the speed of someone's iPad make a difference or not? But it seems like your technology is a little bit different, because for me, my technology, everything is happening in the actual software in the app. So having that faster processor made everything go a little quicker for me.
Mm-hmm. Everything's happening in the computer on the camera.
So that's the difference.
Yeah, that's a difference. Is all the processing is happening on the camera. It's literally just the phone is telling you what to do.
And does what is your success rate with? Do you ever have somebody, especially that's new to this platform, go out there, shoot a house, and get back, and it didn't upload, it didn't work right, it wasn't 100% successful? What do you say about that? And by the way, I hadn't really even thought about. I mean, I've known about your product. I haven't really thought about getting into it, but I am actually digging what I'm hearing here, and I'm going to do a little more investigating. That's strictly off the record, but I just want to learn more about it. So,
well, one of the things that we did in the very beginning, and it was deliberate, and people think it's antiquated, but we have a manual rotation process. So literally, instead of it having on an automatic 360 rotator where the photographer presses play and then walks away, at each of our 3 positions, the photographer sees the output. So they know whether their visual quality is there, and they will also see their floor plan. So they have the ability to check everything before they leave the site. And part of building that manual process in, even if it's a matter of seconds, it prevents the minutes or hours required to get home, realize you got bad data, and then have to go back out and shoot. We might have added a little bit of time on site in there so that they can check all that, but at the end of the day, it saves a lot of time in reshoots and all that. So Chris White, who is our head of operator development and support, he'll often get calls from operators, does the rest of our support team, that, hey, I'm out shooting a 6,000 square foot house for my first time. And we always say more panels and less, because you'll have enough data to build the floor plan measurements in areas, and by your 5th or 6th shoot, you should be have your visuals perfected, and even a lot of that has been adjusted by our research team that's automated a lot more of this to get that consistent baseline output.
And are you seeing this on the back of the camera or on your? I assume it's on the camera because you said it all happens in the camera. Do you see this on your device, your iPad or phone?
Your device.
Oh, okay, interesting. So it's transmitted.
Yeah, it shows you, gives you a quick visual reference, and what you're able to do is go and adjust your floor plans. And if you're not happy with, perhaps you're shooting a room and somebody walks into one of your pan positions, you can actually go back and just reshoot that one pan, provided you haven't moved the camera. Just go and swap out that one particular position, and away you go.
And when you get good at this, do you tend to never review it? You just know it's good?
You ask our guys that are really good at it, they'll say absolutely they don't review it. It's good practice to always do it. But yeah, when Alex and his team were brilliant in that they built this for high efficiency, high production users. And when they get good, they're flying through it.
This episode of Shooting Spaces is brought to you by HD Photo Hub. With modern marketing tools for your clients and a powerful back office to help you stay organized and efficient, HD Photo Hub is the secret weapon of successful real estate photographers everywhere. When you register with promo code Shooting Spaces, you'll get a free total marketing kit for your first property. Check them out at hdphotohub.com. HD Photo Hub, where great photos become powerful marketing. That's hdphotohub.com.
You know what? I think there's something to even manually turning the camera, as you said, whether it was deliberate or not, as you said it was, because I think, look, Rich is very famous for saying all the time, if you save 2 seconds here or 2 seconds there, at the end of the day, that adds up to a whole half hour. And, if you're shooting a big room where I'm lucky enough to, knock on wood, shoot a lot of big properties, it's 15 seconds to walk out of the room, 15 seconds to walk back in the room. And if you're right there, I think it would actually be quicker to just be behind the camera, hit capture, turn, hit capture, turn, and go from there. So I think all that probably adds up to even a little bit less time on site.
Someone else I was in a conversation this week where they were saying the same thing. I hadn't really thought of that, but they said, hey, give yourself credit. I get to hide behind the camera throughout the entire process versus running out of the room. And they said, you look at that, there's time savings depending on the rooms you're shooting there as well.
For sure. I have situations where if I'm shooting a big, gigantic, great room, and if I need to walk out of the room and my Wi-Fi won't reach the iPad, I have to sit there and walk around the tripod with the camera as it rotates at the same speed. So no, I give you credit because I feel like that would definitely save time on site. And it does. I mean, 3,000 square foot house in 20 minutes, it's quick, so. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say our record, and we do have a video for this, and we want to update it with a new camera. But we shot an 180,000 square foot industrial space in 4.5 hours. Wow. And they were quoted from one of our competitors 11 days. So that's how fast and efficient, certainly even on the larger spaces that we can get.
Okay. My question was in regards to the other company, and I'll just say Matterport, I have always felt that a lot of the, sometimes I run across the Matterport and I always say, I can't do it at the same time I'm shooting my stills because it's affected by, I'm assuming that your device is also affected by lights, flashes, so you couldn't have it going on in another room at the same time. Oh, I found that a lot of realtors or agencies will actually have a specific person that is less qualified or is an intern or somebody that just works for the agency, specifically do Matterport. Is this the kind of thing that you find most of your photographers or whoever is in charge of supplying this, are they doing their own, or do they also have another person that just does this device?
Oh, they do it themselves. Absolutely. We've had companies and photographers probably with the same cachet that even you have, Rich, because I'm familiar with your work, and where they thought I would have somebody else do the iGUIDE because I'm a photographer, and we gave them the numbers and showed them the cost impact of bringing a second person out. And inevitably, everybody finds it's just cheaper and more cost effective on the bottom line to run around and do the iGUIDE when I'm done my shots.
And it's less, I always felt that when Matterport came out, especially, maybe 3 years ago or whatever, I always got this impression. I always heard people go, it was a headache and it didn't work and this and that. You've really got your act together as far as it really is reliable, and it's lacking in headaches or potential pitfalls and things like that.
We think so. The things that we've heard in complaints about them and these other technologies that are in our space, or primarily that are in the virtual tour space, is the sheer amount of time it takes on site and the time it takes off site. And that we've absolutely got locked down. I mean, our time is as low as you can get, which again, for photographers, results in more shoots per day, less time on site, less time back at the office, uploading, processing. And we, for what we lack, we have certainly focused on reliability and efficiency. And I think that's where we're getting a lot of our credit.
Cool. So what exactly is, I guess, the deliverable that, somebody gets at the end of the day? Is it a whole put together tour that they can go to, your URL or whatever their dummy URL is, or is it embeddable? How does it, what does it look like? And is there a demo on your website that people can see also while they're scrolling?
Yeah, if you actually go to goiguide.com and then /show, SHOW, that's a presentation of not only the iGUIDE, but our deliverable, the iGUIDE report. So when a tour is done, it's been processed, it's been drafted, we send our operators and their clients, if they name their client, an email with the iGUIDE report. And that iGUIDE report has a series of links, download files, and data sets. So we provide links to both the branded and the unbranded virtual tour. A lot of them will use a branded on their online platforms, and then they'll use unbranded for the MLSs. We also provide web links to their floor plan files. Again, we really drive home the message of buyers want to see these, sellers want to see these, so wherever you can, you should be linking out your floor plans. And then we provide download files. So photographers, our operators will load their photography into our galleries, and it becomes a great delivery system for their photos. Instead of Dropbox and everything else, the agent gets your iGUIDE report. They download both image files, the low res and the high res. We also provide a complete iGUIDE version, and that is what's unique to us too, is a complete downloadable functioning offline iGUIDE. So agents can start to develop their own library of comps. They can give a copy to the seller so that they've got a reference material when they move into their new home. We do a lot of work in again, large commercial, industrial spaces, multi-unit residential, where unlike residential real estate where they might only want it live for 4 to 6 months, these companies might want to have it live on forever. So they will take that downloaded iGUIDE and host it on their own servers. We don't lock anyone into a subscription plan. And then we provide downloadable photospheres. From there, we've got a link to our embed code. So embedding, that's probably where VR was the hotspot in 2016, 2017. It's all about embedded content, 2018, 2019. So we've got those embed codes. We've got a feature sheet creator. And then the bottom half of the report is all of the room measurements, the floor area calculations, and our method of measurement. And that's the other big thing is when you look at providing a legally defensible square footage calculation, you need to have your floor plans, your measurements, your input values, and your final numbers and your method of measurement. And that's what we provide in that bottom part of our report.
And what's the average time? Let's say you get home. What do you have a memory card? Do you have
Yeah.
an SD card? What's how long does it take, and what's the process of how long it's going to be on that end? Because that's equal is on site. It's equal. So what's it take for an average person, average house?
Well, again, assume you've done 10 properties. You're comfortable with all your visuals when you leave site. 5 minutes to upload.
Okay, I'll remember that.
Yep.
It's taking me 4 hours now. I'm sure.
Yeah. The biggest thing that we hear from existing photographers who come on is definitely the amount of time we save on site and off site. We do provide you with the ability, though, within the software package we give you for your home computer. Let's say, and this was even cleaned up a lot over the last 8 months. Some people might want to adjust their verticals, their color balances, their whites. You have the ability to do that. If, let's say, you're shooting a completely glass room like a gym, and you want to take yourself out of the image, you can take one of your iGUIDE images, pull it out, put it in Photoshop, edit yourself out, and then put it back in. So you can do that. But by and large, most of the guys are, and I say guys universally, but most of our operators just come home, upload, and they're gone.
And can you use? Am I wrong, Brian? Some people actually can pull an image off of that they claim is usable. Can you use any of the? Can you get a still image out of this that in a pinch? Let's say you screwed up and you missed a shot. Can you get it off of the your product?
You can, and for a lot of our commercial applications and such, they do use the images from the iGUIDE. But this I feel like I'm preaching to the Pope here. But where we position our camera systems for shooting a proper 360, it is not the right position for shooting a great still image of a room. Yeah, if you're in a pinch, you could pull a picture off and probably stuff it there, but it's not going to be real estate marketing quality that certainly one of your customers would come to expect. But yes, if you just you want to see a wall, there's a wall, you can absolutely do it.
Cool. One thing, I'm actually looking at your demo, I guess, showcase, it looks like live. And one thing which is really neat, which I've never seen before, is you have like a side-by-side of the virtual tour or the walkthrough for people that might not understand the technology of virtual tour. And then on the left side, I see the floor plan. But as I scroll around the virtual tour, it kind of shows me in the floor plan where you are and your point of view with a little, I guess, shadow. Yeah. And it's really neat because it helps everything work together.
Yeah.
It helps because you can look at a floor plan, you can look at a virtual tour, but it's still hard to gauge the overhead view when you're looking at it. But now I see exactly which way I'm facing, exactly where I'm looking to. And if I want to jump from the balcony on one side of the house to the master bedroom on the other side of the house, all I got to do is click the master bedroom and it takes me there and it shows me exactly where I'm looking at. So it's pretty neat. I really like this deliverable here.
Oh, wait a second. Are you saying, Brian, that on the floor plan? I'm on there now. It's really cool.
In the iGUIDE viewer on the top, where it says iGUIDE viewer.
That is so cool. It's got little green dots on the floor plan, which brings you right to where you want to go.
Yeah, awesome. Those are the camera positions. And Brian, that's awesome that you picked up on it. So, yeah, it's an optical cue that we created because, you look at the hemispheres of the brain, right side is emotional, left is logical. So the floor plan's on the left, visuals on the right, and we can connect the two by that little subtle tracking cone on the floor plan. So what that does is whether or not you see it, your optical system picks up on it, and it puts you in the home, and it gives you relationship and understanding of the space. So it might not be, and trust me, we're looking at what's the coolest way to deliver that experience. But that is the easiest way for people to completely understand a space, where they are in it, how it flows, how everything's put together.
It's very. I compliment you because I'm now just checking it out. It's really, really. It makes sense to me. I've always had a disconnect with a virtual tour like you've been discussing, and this really seems to make sense. Let me ask you: is this possible to? Just brain fart. But no, is this the kind of thing where you can use virtual reality glasses?
Yes. So
I've seen that one time, and that actually was really connected with me. So what's the story with virtual reality?
Yeah. So I believe you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner of the iGUIDE viewer is a little virtual.
Oh, I see it. Uh-huh.
And could I have one moment? I just got notification that I'm running out of juice on my computer, so I need to plug it in. I'm going to run and grab I can't believe I forgot to plug my computer in.
Oh, go ahead.
One moment.
But Brian, I want to say whereas I was, I guess at the beginning of this interview, I was indifferent, and now I'm actually kind of intrigued, and and I think a big part of it is it is something that I've never been into, being a one-stop shop. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of my friends, even you are more one-stop shop than I am. But I'm not sure if I want to delve into all those other areas, but this is sounding pretty easy.
Yeah, well, look, I've said this before. I think for me, the key was, and, I do aerial and drone, and I do have a Matterport. I think the key for me was, because I'm not a volume shooter, was maximizing the most. And I think, Kevin, you touched on this earlier, maximizing the most out of every house you go to, which is why I became a licensed drone pilot, which is why, not necessarily why I have the Matterport, but I do have the Matterport if it comes up. So yeah, I mean, if I'm on a house, I don't want to walk away with $150. I want to walk away with $600 or $700 if I can, and then it doesn't force me to have to shoot at least 10 properties a week to make ends meet.
Yeah. And that's where we looked at it, and we looked at some of the other systems out there. And I think why we've done so well with some of these high volume.
I'm testing it out. Sorry.
Yeah, even lower volume photographers is with some of these other systems where you have to be in the home for 2-3 hours. Well, you gentlemen you probably have a very good idea of what your time's worth per hour. Well, you're going to have to charge an incredible amount of money for that 3D tour to get the same value for your time over those 2-3 hours. And oftentimes the cost of the tour would be far greater than what your customers would be willing to pay. So it doesn't make sense for you. And we saw a lot of photographers that said, these virtual tours don't make sense to us because we don't make as much money off our time doing them. Where our system comes in and they're crushing it in terms of their time because they could charge far more for it than what it takes.
But something I want people to think about, and this is as I would think about it, as one motivation, probably the main motivation for me to do it, is almost anytime you have to sub something out, there is the opportunity for the realtor or the client to work with and see another person. And I'm not the kind of person, I got no problem subbing things out because I'm not really insecure in that way. But I think that's a big part of it. And that goes with a one-stop shop. You don't want any excuse for your client to have to sub out, or because it is a pain in the ass for them to deal with in one way or another. Who charges, billing, this and that. So I really, that would be, for me, that would probably be the main motivation. It almost wouldn't be the money, although once I investigate how much it would take and how much time it would take to do the math, maybe that the motivation's money. But for me, it would be to offer as much as you can to your client so they don't have to go anywhere else.
Definitely. I think, Rich, that's a huge motivating factor, and we see it all the time. I don't think anybody in any industry, no matter how confident they were, would want their competition even in the hallway, let alone inside the house. So I think anytime you can own more. Here in our technology space, everybody's talking about share of wallet and value for money and value for time, but you want to control as much of your client's wallet as possible. And even if it's not photography, if they are using somebody for tours or using somebody for floor plans, you want to, especially if you've got a great way to do it, you're going to want to control that.
Great.
Kevin, I'm going to put you under the gun here. So how do I access this headset VR feature? For all those that are not watching and listening, I got my VR headset and I want to try this while I have Kevin on.
Okay. Let me.
I'm on the Go iGUIDE /show on my phone.
Okay, and I hope. All right, so I'm on the tour. Oh, does this one?
Oh, this one doesn't have accessibility?
I don't think this one. No, because it's not there.
An older one? All right, send me one later. I'll report back.
I will absolutely send you one. No, I'm sorry. We're constantly updating this show every time everybody goes to a new show or a new trade show and somebody has changed it. So I apologize.
That's fine, but it is an option that's there.
Oh,
so
absolutely, yes.
I will try it later tomorrow or whatever it is after I get the link from you and report back that it's fully usable.
We'll all get to see. I'm going to check it out in Vegas.
Yep.
I mean, what a perfect opportunity to come hang out with you and really see it in action. And I'm excited. So I hope you're looking forward to Vegas. It
absolutely
might sound kind of not for everybody, a bunch of real estate photographers, but I'm really looking forward to it. So
I love architectural photography. I always have it as a kid, and then coming from the space of working with architects and engineers, and anytime a building was completed, the architectural photographers would come in and shoot the spaces, and their drawings or their photos would be on the easels. And I cannot say that I can do what you gentlemen do, but I certainly have always had an appreciation for it.
Well, it ain't brain surgery, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. So you're welcome.
And I can't do what you do. So
great.
Well, I would challenge that anyone can do it, because composition, anyone can push a plunger, but the way you gentlemen can view the world in a grid and line everything up, a lot of the guys I talk to, it's amazing. It really does take a certain mindset, that's for sure. Or training for that mindset.
Yeah, no, for sure. But as we wrap up and get low on time here, we've been going for quite a while. I'm sure people have been listening for the last hour are wondering, what's your pricing structure like? You said you're not subscription based, so I'm gathering that people pay for every tour. Is that how it works? Besides the camera that they have to purchase from you. So how exactly do those work? And
yeah, so we have the camera system pricing, $4,800 for a camera in Canada, $3,500 for a camera in the United States. That comes with the camera and the software, all the training. It also comes with all of our sales and marketing resource packages, all of that. And then in terms of the output or the processing, I think you could safely, and of everything they gave me, I don't want to, it's a couple cents and a bit per square foot.
okay.
So the way in which looking at the floor plan world, oftentimes for a residential property, if your clients were to go out and hire a floor plan company to come create a floor plan for their home, it's 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 cents a square foot. We take, I could safely say in the US, 2.5 cents a square foot, and photographers charge the rest.
Cool. And how do you find some of your iGUIDE providers are charging their agents, or do you not even know how these photographers are charging? Is this something that a photographer would come on and charge them by square footage, or I mean, I guess that's the only real way to do it, because their costs are by, a photographer's costs, your rates are basically by square foot. So the only way to really accurately price would be square footage.
Definitely. I think for the residential market, everybody's got little buckets. So they might have a price of, here's my price up to and including 1,500 square feet. Here's my price up to and including 3,000 square feet. Then maybe 4,000, 5,000. And so on, up to 10,000 square feet. Once you get above 10,000 square feet, this is where the photographers really start to see efficiency, whether it's residential or commercial. So they kind of customize their quote based on what sort of space it is and how much time they think it'll take them, plus their processing fees, and then we'll come up with custom quotes. But yeah, you've got your small space, your condo package below 1,500. A lot of them will go up to 2,500, or because the average size home in the United States is 2,400 square feet. So 1,500, then 2,500, then maybe 4,000, 5,000, and up from there.
What is, if I can ask this, what does it cost in the U.S. to do 2,500 square feet or 2,400 square feet? What's it going to cost the photographer, and roughly what can the photographer charge?
Well,
I'm doing some quick math here. 2,500 square feet. It says on your website.
Your chin.
Yeah, I'm doing some quick math here. It says on your website it's 2 cents a square foot.
Perfect. Okay.
So at 2,500 square feet, you're looking at about $50 plus, I guess, a $29 processing fee. Is that how it works? Or the $50 is your fee?
That's your fee. That's your price.
So up to okay. So it's basically 2 cents a square foot. So
is what we charge.
2,500 square feet, you're looking at $50.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's a ballpark of a photographer to charge?
It's going right with your market. What we look at it is what's the price of a photo package in your market. Like the way we look at it in real estate photography is similar to the way everybody looks at bread in the grocery industry. What's the benchmark? So when we talk to our photographers, what are people charging for, a 2,500 square foot home to shoot a photo package? And then that's kind of the price point in which they'll charge for a tour. A lot of photographers will say, for a 2,500 square foot home, I'm in there for 30 minutes to an hour. In some cases, if they're not using extensive lighting for their average property. So they might charge $150 for that photo package. And then, so they'll add $150 for us. And that's where, so for $300, they get their floor plans, their virtual tour, all their measurements, or everything, their photos. Incredible value for the agent and incredible upside for the photographers.
Well, that's the thing. I think for, let's say, using the 2,500 square foot as an example, at a $50 cost to the photographer and 20 minutes on site, that investment of money and time is so minimal that the photographer has so much flexibility in what they charge for it that, you can literally charge $75, although I wouldn't recommend charging that little. You can literally charge $75 and be in the positive.
Yeah.
But like I said, I wouldn't recommend someone charging that little because that's probably going to hurt the market in general. But that being said, there's a lot of flexibility to what you can charge, creating packages. If you want just the iGUIDE, it's this. But if you get the iGUIDE with the photo package, it's this. And that's where you're really maximizing because you're on site anyway, getting your regular rate for photos.
Yeah. A lot of our teams throughout North America have been very successful, not only accruing a tremendous volume of business, but doing so at a very healthy rate, which gets them some incredible margin. So we've been fortunate, and we've heard with some of the other tour technologies out there that it has been a race to the bottom. We have a phenomenal network of operators that nobody does that. Even when we've got potentially 2 or 3 operators in the market, we really do look at it as we're going after 100% of all those homes for sale. And until we hit 60, 70% of the market, Everybody's kind of going out and watching what the other's doing, but we've got so much value with all the additional tools that we're offering. We don't need to compete on price.
Well, it's good to hear, because us as photographers have to deal with that on a daily basis. I know me personally, I don't know if it's the same for you, Rich, but I'm one of the higher priced out here in New York, or Long Island for that matter. And I lose so much work to pricing, and I'm okay with it, because as I said earlier, I maximize each shoot by offering more services. So I'm okay losing, a shoot to someone who wants to pay $125. I'm all right with it. But yeah, there's just so much of that. So it's, it's almost refreshing to hear that everyone kind of respects each other and realizes that as long as everyone kind of keeps the price up, it's just going to help everyone in the long run, not hurt each other. So.
Well, and for someone in your case, what I would argue, if you're on the higher end with your photography, then by going with an iGUIDE system, creating a bundle with the iGUIDE, you've now, because you've got a lot more flexibility in there, you could create a very competitive package. You might not be using the iGUIDE than some of these other guys. So you're not having to go head to head on photography, but these competitors that might be offering a package or a suite of services.
Well, I've always said, my theory has always been that people look online and they're in the groups, they'll mention, oh my God, how can I compete with this guy? How is he making any money? He's charging this for the photos. Well, they're making money on the other things. They're making the money on the add-ons, and it's all it all is all taken into consideration. So I love the idea of just adding this on, because it sounds like it's a little bit of an investment for the equipment, but it seems like it's feasible to do. It doesn't take a lot of time, and it's worth it money-wise. Now, let me ask you.
But it's not even that big. It's not even that big of an investment, Rich.
Well, like for you and me, but
but in the grand scheme of things, when I buy equipment and stuff like that, my typical philosophy is I always say to myself, if I can pay this off in 1 year, then it's a smart investment.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're going to go out and try to upsell this to your current clients, I don't see how you can't pay this camera off within a year, or even less for that matter. So.
We've got, I think Brandon spoke with Michael, and he had his first camera, and I do believe he's up to 2 or 3 of them now, paid off in 2 months. So yeah, we look at everybody to try and get a 6 to 12 month full depreciation on the hardware, so that after a year you can walk away, made a bit of money. But absolutely. Coming from the business perspective, it's got to make sense to you. Otherwise, we're not going to be successul.
And barring that you don't trip over it and falls and breaks, what's the life expectancy, or how long will this camera be functional for?
We've got literally IMS4s, our first generation cameras, that are still out in the field. You can get thousands of tours out of these. Yeah. These have a long shelf life.
No shutter life, so you can just go on and on. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, and then when there's new features and all that, is that typically rolled out as long as you have a camera, you're privy to all the new features and everything like that?
We have a monthly newsletter that we update people on firmware updates. Recommend they go upload the new firmware. Let them know what the firmware updates are. I mean, Alex and his technology team over the last 8 months, he's got a couple really great scientists that he brought on, and they've had some incredible new innovations and some more to come. So we tell everybody, if anyone from our network's listening, you've got to be checking these monthly newsletters to get the firmware updates.
And you are there for us. We have, what is your technical support line? What's going on with that? What are your hours and days?
We have certainly our in-office team are here at 9 to 6, but we're small enough, and our operators know us that we answer on the forum. We're all working. We've got people that are off-site responding to forums, the help desk. It really is. You might not get us at 2 or 3 in the morning, but we're around the clock. And the one thing that if you talk to anyone within our network, which we are most proud of, is they talk about the service and support of the team. We don't just pay lip service. We don't make money on our cameras. We make money on processing iGUIDE. So if you're not out there creating them, we're not making money either.
There you go.
So we do everything, whatever we can to help our operators. We listen to them. A lot of our innovations are coming from the people in the field that are saying, hey, this will make you faster. This will make us quicker. So we pride ourselves on the service and support that we try and offer the network.
All right, cool. Well, we're kind of out of time here, but we definitely got a lot covered, and something to. I know Rich is pretty interested in this now. I see the wheels turning in his.
I will probably not run out tomorrow, but I will see you in Vegas, and I want to see this baby work, and I want to, because I need to really get it physically in my hands, and I'm looking forward to that. So So for anyone that's going to be at the PFRE conference, you're going to have the physical cameras there, and people can try it out and see what it's all about.
Absolutely, we will have demos there. We'll come fully prepared to answer a lot of the hard questions from your community.
Okay, cool. So I invite anyone that is going to the conference, as Rich and I have said many times, we'll be there, to go and check out this camera and try it out. If not for anything, just to check out some cool new technology in our industry.
Well, we will do Shooting Spaces. We'll do an interview broadcast with iGUIDE. So
sure. Cool. Kevin, we're going to be doing some Facebook Lives. To our Facebook page from the conference. So
fantastic.
We'll find you sometime over there, and we'll do a quick couple-minute Facebook Live just to show everyone what's going on.
That would be great. Looking forward to it.
And I urge everybody to go to your website. What's your website again?
Go iGUIDE, GOIGUIDE.com.
And go check out the examples, because the more time you spend with it, it's actually really slick, and it isn't gimmicky, as I've always felt that this system was gimmicky, not yours, but another system. And I'm really enticed now, because it seemed to make more sense to me in a visual in a way. So, and
I'm assuming Kevin, everything's mobile friendly. I didn't ask.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking your time and explaining. I know personally a bunch of people that use it and really push it heavily. As you mentioned, Matt Stallone, who we've had on the show a few times, and we did a webinar with him. I know he's a big advocate for your stuff. So,
he's amazing.
Yeah, so there's a couple of, and obviously Brandon at PFRE, who you said has 2 or 3 cameras, which is very impressive. So thanks for coming on and telling everyone about your product. And I'm assuming if people have questions, they can reach out to you or just reach out to a support email. Is that
any of our team? We've got a complete sales team. We've got a support team. You can go to sales at planetar.com, support at planetar.com, and you'll be responded to right away. Or I believe we've even now got a chat bot on our website. So you've got somebody who will have an immediate conversation with you should you want one.
Okay, cool. It's all about the response time, I guess.
It is. This is what happens when you start to go corporate. You're everywhere all the time.
Hey, look, I have a live chat on my website too, but I have an app on my phone and it pops into my phone. So no matter where I am, I can respond to somebody.
And I think we've got staff who take turns from the support team and sales team who take turns through the night, days per week answering those. Yeah.
Oh, fun. All right, cool. So thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. And we look forward to meeting you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Been big fans of you guys, reading your blogs and on PFRE over the years. I'm flattered and honored to be here. So thank you.
Cool. And if you or anyone from your team want to ever write something for our Shooting Spaces blog about virtual tours and the need in the industry, by all means, we'd love to have you guys come out and contribute that way. So
absolutely, that'd be awesome.
All right, cool. So, Rich, like always, it's always been a pleasure.
Yeah. I want to tell everybody, don't forget about Ask the Guys, where you can record your 90-second little question for us, and we'll either answer it or get a professional like we have on tonight to answer your questions. And subscribe to shootingspacespodcast.com, but you probably are already. And what's our website there, Brian?
Shootingspaces.net. Yeah, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Whenever we have a new article, you get them right into your inbox. Pretty neat and efficient.
Yeah. And if you were interested in one of the past webinars, you can get information always at shootingspaces.net and in the learn section, because we all want to learn about what we're doing. It's about education, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Take us out, Brian. You take us out this time.
All right. It's the quote, the one and only Rich Baum, go out and shoot some spaces. This episode is brought to you by iGUIDE. Ready to elevate your photography business? iGUIDE is a turnkey solution for those looking to expand their real estate photography business beyond photography to add 3D tour technology, laser accurate floor plans, and reliable room dimensions and square footage calculations. Get your first 3 iGUIDEs free by adding shooting spaces in the referral section at purchase. Visit goiguide.com to learn more.
This has been Shooting Spaces. For more episodes, visit shootingspacespodcast.com and visit our education site at shootingspaces.net.